Oh, hi. The transition may have flopped, but we're
It's
here.
okay.
She
We're
was
still here. We're still
lagging.
doing it.
She was doing the most, but
Right.
that's quite all right because if you're watching or listening to this, what matters is the podcast itself, not the transition
It's
from the starting
happening,
soon
right?
screen into the podcast. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
here we are, episode 34. I almost said 35.
Wild.
I know, right?
Wild.
34 weeks back to back. We haven't missed a single episode. If this is your first, if this is your not your last, hopefully not your last.
It better not be your last.
If
Come
you're
back.
new or if you've been listening and watching us for a decent duration of time, you know that this is the Just Gaming Tingz Podcast. We bring an all queer perspective to video games, gaming news, and nerdy stuff. We are live every Saturday, live on twitch.tv/JustGamingTingz at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, a little over 24 hours later, on the other services and YouTube and all that. And I say that because sometimes it's 24 hours, sometimes it's 48, sometimes it's longer. We're trying our best.
We do what we can,
Yep.
you know? We're here. We're trying. We're making it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Project Ruby. You can call me Ruby. We're just friends over here, so you can just call me Ruby if you're feeling, casual, funky, and fresh. My pronouns are they, them. And with me, joining me on this delightful day, we have Jam. Hi, Jam.
Hey, my name's Jam, and my pronouns are he, him. And we also have the wonderful Koga.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Koga Jangles. You can just call me Koga because saying Jangles might be a little bit too much. But my pronouns are he, him.
Wonderful.
Yes, we're out here.
Iconic behavior. We truly are
Icons
here.
only.
Unfortunately, Spin could not join us on this day.
Yes.
However, we do have a story that he provided for us
Yes.
to talk about, which is kind of iconic, if you ask
Truly.
me. I mean,
Truly iconic.
Spin is also, you can't say Spin without saying iconic behavior in the same
Right,
sentence.
he's an icon.
So, so the story that Spin brought us today on this delightful Saturday is that Far Cry 6 is bringing along a cute little wiener dog as a companion for your journeys and your adventures. So there was a gameplay reel of Far Cry 6 this week, yesterday, from the time we're recording this. And in the midst of all the things of the things, because we're queer, we're focusing on the doggy.
Truly. We were like, dogs? Yes.
Yeah, so they named the wiener dog Chorizo, which is basically like a wiener. It's kind of iconic, if you ask me. Like that, you can get a little friend to join you on your journeys. I'm not gonna lie, I've never played a Far Cry game in my life, but
Me
this
either.
is just so precious.
I love them so much. They're so good. The games are so good.
This is extremely iconic, and that's all I have to say. And he's in a little wheelchair. Yes, he's a good little
Yes.
boy. He's iconic in
Yeah.
every way.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited because this is kind of like Far Cry's MO, like in the past like few games that they've done, is you get a animal companion and you get like a lot of them. Like Far Cry 4, you could have one, and then in Far Cry Primal, which was one of the games that they had, like you could get like a saber-toothed tiger and all of those types of things. And then the last game is like you could get a bear, you could get like this cute little like spotted dog that would follow you around, and like you could pet him and love him, and it was amazing. And like the best part of the game, it's so much fun. So like I loved it so much. So I'm super excited that they've added in chorizo.
Iconic, absolutely
Yeah.
iconic. I'm bringing up some footage for the folks who are watching
Oh yeah.
the video version on Twitch or YouTube. So, yeah, y'all can continue talking about your thoughts and concerns as I show this delightful footage.
So I've never played a Far Cry game before. I just never really got around to it. I think that's because you get to add these, but I'm like, do you get to use only one of them, or is it like both? You can have multiple, maybe.
Oh, yeah. So how it works is in the game you get two. Typically, in the past, you've gotten two characters that go with you, and it can be two. It can be a human character and an animal character, or two animal characters. So you could have the crocodile that they also have added in as a character that you can have with you, and chorizo. So you could have both of them. You could have one of your human companions, and then chorizo. So it doesn't really. It varies, but you can typically have two characters at the same time. So
Iconic.
so you'll be able to have, yeah. And the fact that they also added in a crocodile, but it makes it like Far Cry has gone from being like this trying to be somewhat of a realistic shooter type situation and like sort of going the way of Saints Row to GTA 5, you know, to GTA where it's like it's GTA but like slightly crazier, and that's kind of what Far Cry has done. They're like,
Okay.
oh yeah, you can have a bear and you can have a mountain lion and you can control them and tell them to attack people.
Why
Because
not?
it's like it's a video game. Why not?
I love that actually.
Yeah, it's kind of iconic.
Yeah, I definitely want the crocodile to attack people. I'll take the crocodile.
Well, and that's the thing that with the animals, it's always, I think the thing that's the best part about it is that like people will attack them, but then the characters also get scared of them in ways like when you have a bear, they're like scared of the bear because bears are terrifying giant creatures, so they run away from them. So it helps you out if you're bad at shooting like me.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. Like as I play Fortnite, nothing makes me happier than like getting an NPC and being like, "Oh, I can hire you and you can do killing for me." Absolutely. Absolutely, I will take that. But more on that on what we're playing later.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of all the fighting and all the things and going against people, Koga does have a topic that is very related to fighting, right?
Yes, I do.
Without
Good
guns,
Lord.
though.
I
No
had
gu-
to think and see where there's like an item with guns, but they're not in this one. They did that in Tekken though, and it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
But so Virtua Fighter has releasing a new game that's coming out on the PlayStation 4 as an exclusive on June the 1st. It is called Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. It is going to be part of the June PlayStation Plus games as
Ooh,
well. So
okay.
if you have that, you're gonna
Ooh.
already have it ready to go. If you missed that, it's gonna be $30. So Virtua Fighter 5 originally came out arcades 2006. So that's, oh my God, that's 15 years. Feeling old now, feeling old.
Stop it, Koga. Stop it. I feel old
Not
now.
feeling old.
It has to be that way sometimes. So it's had multiple versions over the years. So Ultimate Showdown, it would be the fourth. The second was Virtua Fighter 5R that came out 2008. Don't ask what the R stands for. We don't know. Then there was Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. That title is a lie. It came out in 2010, and then that came out on console in 2012. So for home releases, there hasn't been anything new in about 9 years. So what this is for what it seems so far, it seems like it's a remaster in a way of Final Showdown. I haven't played the game because I don't have a PlayStation, but we don't know if it's like the balancing is the same as Ultimate Showdown. However, they did go back and they have been working with the Ryuga Gotoku Studio, which are the ones who made the Yakuza series. And so now the game is now built in the Dragon engine, which is the same engine they used to make the Yakuza game. So the game has gotten like a complete visual makeover. They're using different UIs and things like that. So it's not like it's exactly the same, but visually, in terms of animations, more than likely so. Like it feels like it's just an upgraded version of Final Showdown. Oh my good. Wait, did I use the right one? Yes, I'm sorry. See, Final Showdown, that name is confusing. It's an upgraded version of that, at least.
Listen, all these different
so-
names, they're
Right,
sabotaging
right.
us. Honestly.
I mean, I don't know. It's like if you
said
call it Final
words?
Showdown. Yeah, if you call it Final Showdown, I get a little bit confused. This seems to be a bit more esport focused. I know for some reason the game is called Virtua Fighter Esports in Japan. I'm not sure why the difference is. Them it's the exact same game. But as of right now, unfortunately, it is going to be exclusive on PlayStation. It has mentioned nothing of it coming to PC, which is kind of a bummer. Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown did not do that well. It's a good game, don't get me wrong, but it didn't do very well. But with this, with it being part of PlayStation Plus games, it's going to be in a lot of people's hands. So a lot of people who hasn't been able to play it will be able to play it. It looks new, so it doesn't, it's not going to like a game that came out 10 years ago, which honestly for its time, honestly looked a bit ridiculous. Like the game came out and you can see like the details in their hands. And we were just looking at it like, oh my goodness. So it actually, the old game still actually looks really good today. It's just now it looks a bit more up to date. So it is going to, of course, have online. Unfortunately, they aren't using rollback netcode. But I mean, it's free, so I kind of give them a pass. Though I would love to see like a Yakuza character in there. We know Kiryu would never be in it because the creator of that character does not want to see him hitting women in any way, shape, or form, even if it's a video game. So that wouldn't happen. But hey, you can add Goro Majima. But as of right now, there has not been any addition of characters. So again, I'm very excited for it. I think the community so far has been very excited. I know there's been arguments about the online, but it's good to see that they haven't forgotten about it. They're doing like a retrospective videos on YouTube going over the previous games until we get to the current. So hopefully if this one does well, which I mean it should, it's it's like free day one, we can get a 6 at some point. But I'm also curious on how they plan to do esports, because they had a I guess you could not like I guess a video of a stream where they were like talking about stuff, but it was mostly just esports centered for Japan. So it's interesting to see what they're gonna do, because there was really nothing being done with Virtua Fighter for like years, and for it to come back now is great. We have like heard about it, like rumors and whatnot, since like September. So it's good to see that it's out now, and they just revealed it like last week, and it's coming out like this upcoming Tuesday. So it's pretty quick. So hopefully it comes out on PC at some point, but if not, I'll have to miss it until I get a PlayStation 5.
Oh. Well, hopefully it's not gonna come to that. I think this is one of those like cool moments where it's definitely like a fan service situation where it's like, hey, y'all have been with us and we see you and let's give you a moment. And I think it works in both ways of like, if you're a fan of the series, it's like, okay, you get recognized, and they and even if they don't make another one, it's like, okay, at least they did that and they kind of put a little bow on it. But it seems like it's kind of like a test that like we've talked about it before, of like whenever there's a little remaster moment or an older game that's kind of getting a port or getting resurfaced, it's usually because they're testing out if the audience is still there, and if mainly if they're still gonna spend money on it, because the audience can be there and not spend the money. But if they do, or if they're willing to spend the money, and especially if PlayStation sees this as being beneficial to them, if they see maybe an uptick of people getting PlayStation Plus for this month, or if they see a lot of downloads, or even people who don't have PS Plus, if they still purchase the game afterwards or something, very, very interesting. Very interesting to see what's coming of it. And I've honestly never really played Virtua Fighter. It's never been I think I may have played a demo here and there, but I definitely was a Tekken kid growing up. Like I definitely played a lot of those way more. I just think sometimes like when you're growing up, like you almost like pick one franchise that you kind of stick to, because you don't want to risk getting all these different games and then you don't like it, and your parents are like, well, you're not getting any games anytime soon, sweetie, so you
better play it.
So you better play it, or you should have chosen something else.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it.
I played mostly Mortal Kombat. I don't think I ever played Virtua Fighter. But I'm excited that it's coming, right? And this is like a lot of this is great. Like it's really nice to see some of these big things that were so popular kind of like coming back and being reintroduced because
Yeah.
we always think about it, we always say how much we like want new content in games, but there are also certain games that it's just like I want to be able to go back and play that game in that style now. And when they're excuse me, not on the next generation of consoles or the newer generation, it's just like, well, this is disappointing because I want to be able to go back and play this because as much as I want new content and I want new stories and I want something new to do, I still want to be able to fall back on those things that I love. And this is allowing people to do that in a way, but also introduce new people, right? So that's super exciting, and I'm very excited to see this kind of especially with the model of it being on PlayStation Plus and like Xbox Game Pass, allowing people to get introduced into these things, right? Because of, oh, you pay for this subscription and now you can get this without having to pay for the game or whatever the case may be, and you get reintroduced to these older game series, and then you can kind of now, play them and get more into it, So it's nice. It's exciting to see.
It worked for Fall Guys. It worked for Rocket League. So,
it works. It's working for a lot of these games, right? A lot of these, you put yourself on, PlayStation Plus or the PlayStation Now network or on Xbox Game Pass, and you gain a fan base because people can easily play it, and they might buy it on another platform. Like, oh, I also want to play it on PC, right? So they're like, yeah, I play on Xbox or I play on PlayStation, but most of my friends are playing it on PC and they don't have crossplay set up yet. I'll buy it on PC because I didn't have to pay for it over here.
Yeah.
And it just gets you a bigger fan base and shows, gamer goodwill, which is I think the thing we've harped on ever since we've kind of come into this podcasting space is how much gamer goodwill has become such a big currency in gaming, over the last year, especially. But especially within the last console generation, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think this would be very good for people on PlayStation because Virtua Fighter hasn't had a presence on that since the PS3. For Xbox, Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown and also Virtua Fighter 2 were playable via backwards compatibility. Virtua Fighter 2 had an arcade version released on Xbox 360, and then of course Final Showdown also came out on PS3 and 360, and the 360 version is backwards compatible. So it's been around. It's just that it's on Xbox, and not as many people have an Xbox than PlayStation. So it's like it was absent on the bigger platform, so now it's there, and it's for the first month kind of free of charge unless you don't have PlayStation Plus. Most people I know do. So if you have it, it's just you just download it and there you go, and you just go from there.
Yeah, there was like a big study that I heard of. I don't know any specifics, so don't quote me on any of this. But there's like a significant percentage of people who are subscribed to like a lot of these services that are like subscription based, and whether or not they're active in it, but they have it. They just have it like running in the background until like a few months later, and they're like, oh, hold on a minute, I've been having this thing for a while and I either haven't been redeeming any of the games or I haven't been playing any of it. Like there's some sort of study that was conducted that had to do with like it takes people a few months, like the average person, it takes them a few months to actually remember that they have something that they're subscribed to and that they're not using before they unsubscribe for it. So until they actually unsubscribe from it, the chances are they're going to see all of these games pop up on their libraries. They're going to see all these things come and go, and yeah, it's free promo for sure. Well, not free for anyone involved, but but it's promo. It's good promo.
True.
So yeah, I am particularly excited about our next story. It's just a rumor, y'all. It's just a rumor, but I've seen
a spicy little rumor.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of substance to it, so I figured it would be because we don't usually do a lot of rumors on the show. We usually go with things that are a little bit more like confirmed or semi-confirmed, but this is basically semi-confirmed. So we're gonna go into this one because it's a Final Fantasy spin-off that may or may not be an accessible Souls-esque game. So a little background, right? Square Enix has been working with Team Ninja, and they worked with them for the infamous Dissidia Final Fantasy NT, which is the Final Fantasy fighting game that they released first on arcades in Japan, and then they brought them over to console and now PC and all that stuff. The game has been through a lot of ups and downs. I think I don't know if they're shutting down or something, but the game became free to play at some point, and I don't think they're gonna keep up the game for a lot longer or something like that. But regardless, Square Enix, that's the relationship that we're talking about. Square Enix, Team Ninja, and so apparently the rumors around the internet is that Team Ninja is working with Square Enix. And also, for people who don't know, Team Ninja is also responsible for Ninja Gaiden and Neo, etc. So the rumors are that they're working with Square Enix to make a Final Fantasy spin-off. And Fanbyte's news editor Imran Khan actually checked in with his sources, and they actually did corroborate the rumor and suggested that the game may even be called Final Fantasy Origin. So according to the report, it may or may not be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Sounds correct from from PlayStation's history with Final Fantasy. Sounds correct. But will release on PC later down the line, which is also Square Enix's MO these days. It's supposed to be at Square Enix's E3 showcase as one of their reviews. Apparently there's going to be an alpha demo in the summer. So apparently the idea is that the game is going to be like Neo and Dark Souls, but it's going to be more accessible for a wider audience. So I am absolutely here for this for multiple reasons. One, I'm a hoe for Final Fantasy. Anything Final Fantasy, give it to me. Two, I'm not a hoe for Souls-esque games, but give me accessibility, give me Final Fantasy, I'm down. And also, it from the name and from the vibes of it all, it seems like it would be a return again to the fantasy side of things rather than the sci-fi elements that Final Fantasy 13, 15, and then of course Final Fantasy 7 Remake have been giving off, like those sci-fi vibes. So this could be like a really cool reintroduction to a fantasy setting in Final Fantasy. Especially because 16 is supposed to be more fantasy based, so I wonder if they're just like bringing this new era of like 14 is really popular, that's set in a fantasy situation, let's bring more games that are kind of in the same or similar vibe. And I'm totally here for this. I'm super excited. I love a new genre change. I love a spin-off moment. I love when people experiment with like IPs and just make something different. I'm absolutely here for this. If this happens to be true, and Just Gaming Tingz will be attending E3 virtually, and we will be watching. We will be watching the things of the things. So if this happens to come to fruition, I'm gonna scream. Be prepared. But I will also be attending the demo. I will do whatever it takes. Unless it doesn't come to PS4, which nothing has been mentioned about PS4. So if it's only PS5, it's going to be problematic for me because I don't have one yet. And I wasn't intending on buying it, but if the game comes before 16, this might be a problem. I may have to invest. So, but yeah, do y'all have any thoughts and concerns about a possible Final Fantasy Souls type fantasy situation?
Yeah, so I am, like you, am not a huge Souls game type of person. I'm into games that are difficult, but like Souls games are just like, they make me so angry with how difficult they are, right?
They're another level.
They're like
Feel the
another
pain.
level of difficult, right? It's like, here's pain. It's like, I didn't sign up for this. I I wanted difficulty. I didn't want to be sad. But I think this is nice because it just gives. I like Final Fantasy has been around for such a long time. Like giving people a new avenue and a new way of getting into the franchise with a different style of gameplay, I think it's so important, right? And this I think helps, right? It's just kind of like how when we talked about a couple of weeks ago, like Yakuza and the fact that they introduced like a new style of gameplay and it brought in new people who were like, oh, this is interesting because the style of Yakuza games was not something that I was into, but now you bring this and now I want to play and be in this world, right? And so you bring people, and so I think this is great. Like, granted, I'm not like a Final Fantasy stan or anything. It's not really my series, but I think this is exciting, and this like I would maybe get into it because of this, because it's just a different style of game than they have been in the past. So like this is something that might draw me a little bit more. So I'm excited to see. Granted, I don't have a PlayStation, so I would have to go buy a PlayStation to be able to do this. But yeah, what about you, Koga? What do you think?
I definitely would be interested in it. Okay, so I was about to say I do like the Soul games, even though I haven't beaten not one of them, and I've mostly just played the first one. I got kind of burned out because I had to keep restarting. That's a long story. But I do
valid.
I mean, look, when you
So valid.
start one time and then you get hacked and then you have to start over, and then you start over because you get the Xbox One X and you can play that one, and then they released the remaster on PC and you can play that one, so you play that one. You kind of don't want to go through all that all over again.
Yeah.
So I do like the games. I mean, they are kind of. It's definitely hard. Though you'll eventually, from my experience, you will eventually learn what to do, and it can still be hard, but that's kind of what it does. But it does reward you for doing when you win.
Yeah.
So for them doing this for Final Fantasy, I would be interested in playing it. I hope that it's not PlayStation exclusive. Please stop with this third-party exclusive games.
It'll most likely come to PC. Like my concern is that I'm not a PC gamer, right? And so because of that, I mostly play on console just because I don't have a PC, and it's just not, like once we're out of grad school, maybe we can afford to like buy a console and a PC. But one day we'll figure it out.
Manifesting.
But we're manifesting it, So like for me, it's just always hard because now, like especially now with Final Fantasy, a lot of like I have to either have a PC to play them, or I would have to buy another console. And if my console of choice, where I've kind of invested my money and my time, has been Xbox, so I have to like wait. And so if it doesn't come out on PlayStation 4, where I could most likely buy a cheaper console to then play it on, I'm never going to play this game, which is very upsetting because this is kind of exciting because it's a change to the formula of Final Fantasy. So yeah.
Square Enix has, and I don't know which side is pulling the hardest, but that Square Enix PlayStation moment is like they have that gorilla grip on that, girls, because they haven't been like separating for a while. Like we thought for a second here and there when like they announced Final Fantasy games on Game Pass or on the Switch, we thought for a second like, oh, things are gonna change, but like the new Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC, PlayStation 5 exclusive, potential new Final Fantasy game spin-off, not even Square Enix like developed, potentially exclusive as well. So like I don't know what's going on. All I know is Square Enix, we're all available and we would love to play this game. So please, you can work something out with us, with Sony. Send us PlayStation 5s. We can review the game. We can play it day one. We can report on it for all the girls and the gays and the queers and the non-binaries. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just manifesting this for us.
Manifest. I'm about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. On a final note about this, I actually thought about it for a little bit because the game is reportedly going to be called like Final Fantasy Origin, and a part of me is wondering if this is going to be kind of like a soft reboot of the first ever Final Fantasy, because there isn't like a lot of story there. They can easily bring us back to like, the origins of Final Fantasy and kind of make this spin-off kind of like a soft reboot of that first game, which would be really cool because it would be in a fantasy environment. There's a lot that you can do there, and also with like a Souls type game, you can have a lot of lore, but not necessarily like a lot of cinematics and a lot of like heavy storyline. So they can easily take the world and the setting from one, which is kind of like perfect for a game like this because you can have the lore without having like an extensive like cast of characters and all of these like cinematics and cutscenes and like heavy-handed storylines. So kind of works for me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, see. I would agree. I agree with you. I think that's because the first game was very much, it was like RPG. This is what you do.
Yeah.
And then there was a story, but like not a ton. So giving a Souls-like game where you can kind of pick up tidbits of lore as you go through the world, I think would be great to kind of reintroduce people to the beginning of the franchise.
Yeah. I mean, Square Enix, hopefully we're on the same page. Either way, I'm into it, so whatever. Does it matter if we're not on the same page? It probably won't. I'm still going to be pleased.
Yeah, right, probably.
Get on my page, please, so that I can play game. You gotta be on the same page for me to play.
Yeah, I just want a PS5.
Who has one though? Nobody.
Literally,
they're no one.
Anyone listening, raise your hand if you have a PS5. We would love to know your experience. I wonder what that's like.
Raise your hand. Look, raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by PlayStation's handling of this rollout.
Can't find them ever. I have like an easier time finding an Xbox Series S. Like I swear, every time I turn around, it's like, all right, they're up, and I'm like, I could buy this right now.
Oh, I'm like, my problem is that I want the Series X. And so I keep running into issues of not finding those because they're sold out. And so I'm just like, and I'm like, but it keeps popping up. You want a Series S? And I'm like, I do, but I want the X. The problem is that if I buy the S, I will also buy the X. So I'm just waiting. So I only buy one.
Right. I wish I could just like buy it and like launch it across the ocean to y'all, because over here in Europe Xbox is not as popular, so it's so easy to come across Series X and S. So I just wish I could like get it and just like launch it across the ocean and be like, y'all, I got it.
Yeah, like random tidbit, I saw some story that was basically like, oh yeah, over in, I forget which country in Europe, but it was like, oh yeah, like you can trade in your original Xbox One and get an Xbox Series S for $99. And it was like, if you traded in a Switch, you could get it for 39 euros or something. It was like insane because Switches are still so popular that they're like, oh, if we can get a used one from someone,
God,
we'll basically give you a console for free.
That's incredible. Like a lot of stores here do that kind of thing where like you trade in like a last gen console and you can get some credits so that you get the new one for cheaper. I'm a hoarder, so like I still have my PS2, so that's not gonna happen, girls. Sorry, no. But I like a good old bundle, so I usually get them on sale anyway. But yeah, GM, I know you have a story for us too. Speaking of hard games.
Speaking of hard games. Everyone here on the podcast knows that like one of my favorite games of all time is Cuphead. And they are making a Cuphead TV series in combinations with Netflix. And I am very excited because the world of Cuphead is like destined to be a cartoon somewhere. And it's just so vibrant and so fun. And like, I get very frustrated with the game because it is just like die, but can't stop playing it for some reason. I think it's because it's so cute, right? It's not like Souls where I'm mad at the giant monster that keeps destroying me. But they're doing this and announcing it in a showcase of new content that they have coming out on June 7th through 11th. Let me trying to make sure I have all my details, but like they're announcing this along with updates to like Witcher, the season 2 of the Witcher series, and like Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which is coming, and then updates to things like the Umbrella Academy. So it seems like they're like really putting a lot behind this. So I'm super excited about it. I don't know if anyone else is, but I am. Spin probably is excited because Spin also likes Cuphead as well. What do you guys think? I know that it's not a big story, but I was very excited when I saw it, as Ruby can attest, as well as
Yes.
Koga. I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
Cuphead TV series. Oh my goodness, yeah. But I'm excited for it. It'll be fun. Hopefully it's not bad.
Honestly, the game, no please. I like watching people play the game because the game is beautiful. I love that cartoon style. I just love looking at it and the sound design and everything. Could I ever play it? Absolutely not. But I don't have to play on Netflix. I could just watch. So this is perfect for me. Especially because like I'm running out of seasons of The Circle. I'm watching I've gone to the point where I've watched The Circle US, The Circle Brazil. I'm now finishing The Circle France. So this is a problem that can be solved by the Cuphead show. Just listen. I need to watch. No, it's very exciting. We talked about it like last week about how Netflix is getting into gaming and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, keep bringing us gaming content on Netflix, please, because as long as it's good, of course. Because this is like ideal, like you said, Giam. Like, Cuphead is the perfect game to be turned into a show because it already looks like a show. So this is the perfect game for it. Do you think it's gonna be like those like old school Disney shows where it's like just a bunch of like little clips or little shorts that they put together like for each episode, and they do like little short stories?
That's what I'm hoping, because that I feel like that would be perfect, right? It's like a bunch of little 5-minute segments that you put together, and you get this like none of the stories are like particularly related. It's kind of like a sketch comedy type situation where you don't have these stories that are related in one episode, but then you just tell these little bits of story that with the different, the different villains, like, all of that stuff. So because they also have so many like villains or bosses in the game that you could turn into a character that is like the big bad of each little vignette that you have, and I think that's super exciting and gives them a lot of space to just kind of play. And I think
Yeah.
that's the interesting thing, especially with a cartoon. It allows you, because it doesn't have this in-depth story that you're trying to tell, because it doesn't really have there's an underlying current of a story throughout the Cuphead game, but it's not like that doesn't really matter, right? It's all about just playing a bunch of boss levels throughout a game, right? And so you kind of get the ability to just tell these different weird stories that you can tell in 5 minutes with a cartoon, which I think is what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've ever watched the show on Netflix called Love, Death, Robots.
It's on my
So
list.
it's
Haven't gotten to it.
it's it's very, very good. So the second season just came out, I think, a couple weeks ago, and it's literally that, but like instead of it being like one episode is a bunch of those things, each episode is like a 5 to 10 minute little story done in different art styles, right? And that's just kind of how it goes, and everything is wrapped up at the end of that, and it's like very interesting because there's not this huge thing that they're trying to tell you. It's just like, here's a little story and here's some cool animation to go along with that looks really pretty, and I love that. So I'm excited to see what they do with this, because I feel like they could do something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about you,
Sounds pretty
Koga?
Yeah.
That definitely sounds pretty cool to me. I didn't beat Cuphead. I was playing it with someone I was dating previously, and we got somewhere. I don't remember the last level, but it's definitely, I think it's interesting to see if they're making a series out of it, especially if they do it like in the style. Of course, I would assume they're doing the style of the game, because the game was just like this overly great looking cartoon,
Yeah.
and I would love to see a show out of that. And the game
Yeah.
just had so many references to so many other things. It was like it just felt like if you're someone who just grew up with like cartoons and even things with games, it was just a good thing to watch, and then it was also a bad thing to keep playing if you kept dying. But it's definitely a game that I would definitely give a thumbs up to. So similar to seeing a series about it, I definitely give it a shot.
Yeah. I mean, they better not fuck up with the animation style. They cannot do anything differently.
They better not mess up they better not do that. The music, like it's just all
Please don't
very
put it in
iconic.
CG. If they put it in CG, I'm gonna throw the hugest fit.
Oh,
valid.
Yeah,
Valid.
that's no. Please no. Please, Netflix.
Give me my hand-drawn art style, please and thank you.
Yes. Oh, that art style is so extremely good because like it's so reminiscent and I think it's so nostalgic as well for so many people who grew up with like just hand-drawn animation like that with like obviously Disney and then similar
Studio Ghibli, anime, all of that.
Yeah.
Like Looney
It was
Tunes
so
and stuff
fluid.
like that. Like you just can't do anything. You just can't change that, I feel. Because that's basically half of the charm of the series. Like, not, of course, discounting the gameplay and all of that, but that's like half of it. Like, I remember seeing that on E3 and being like, wait, this looks so iconic. And then I realized it was, you know, a painful experience and I didn't want to get involved in it. But I still like to watch.
Yes.
We love to see it. We love to see it. Y'all, let us know what things you are excited for in the chat, in the comments, all on our socials at Just Gaming Tingz. We would love to hear about it. And we would also love to hear about what you're playing these days, because we're about to share with you what we're playing these days. Or, you know, what we're hosts for this week, because apparently that's what we're going to do. Yeah. So this week, I've been doing kind of a lot. So over the last week, I decided to celebrate my 5-year anniversary here on Twitch through doing daily streams Monday through Friday and just do like a little special moment, 5 days, 5 years kind of situation. So I kind of went back to some games, like for example, Overwatch. I went back to it after a little bit because it was the first game that I've ever streamed. So it was nice going back to it. In a way, it was kind of like, I was like, okay, we need Overwatch too. Because at that point, I just remember being like, okay, I'm playing the same maps that I was playing like months and years ago. And this is like, okay, like there's new characters, there's new skins. But also at this point, it's just like, yeah, Overwatch 2 is definitely needed at this point. Because the game is still basically the same from the last time I picked it up. Which is not like a terrible thing, obviously. You know, the game couldn't have changed dramatically, but I don't know. I just, at some point playing it, I was like, yeah, this is the exact same experience that I've experienced before, and this is exactly why I eventually left, because I got it. I got the gist of it. In other days though, I did other games. So I did Fortnite. I've been loving Fortnite. I fell into their trap and got the season pass because I couldn't resist not getting the Lara Croft skins. Like, at some point, you're just leveling up and you're like, oh, if I just buy the season pass, I could use that outfit. Because it's not on sale at the store, so you literally have to get the season pass. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do it. So I did it, and I'm just like so excited. I'm just like walking around everywhere, just like flipping and flopping everywhere, because they have the emote where like Lara does the iconic like gymnastics routine, and so I just do that all the time while chaos is going on, and people are like, well, there she goes again with the gymnastics, with the flip, and
there she is, just the tumbling away.
Like, people are getting shot at, and I'm like, doop, 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 just flopping around. So yeah, that's been super fun. I got into Silent Hill because I owed my community a horror game stream, and I was like, oh, I've never played Silent Hill, and that one is like super iconic, so I need to get into it because I know nothing about it. And so far, it's been so good.
Silent Hill is very good. It's very, very good.
Just like so like cinematic for a PS1 game. you're probably thinking like how, but they managed to do that. Like the fog effects, I think they just did so well at like utilizing the little tools that they had with the PS1 and just crafting such a great experience. I mean, the voice acting makes me cackle because it's just, at the time, the voice acting was very straightforward. There was no inflection on anything. It was just like, oh, I'm here, hello, hi, what are you doing? So it's just very like basic, but obviously if you played it in the 90s, it would be like, oh my god, they're talking, because games didn't have voice acting then. But honestly, it's been such a fun experience, and I'm loving it. I thought it was gonna be a one and done thing, and I'm like, I might stream that more because I need to play more of this.
Yeah.
I got up to the part where like you're doing like a piano puzzle with like the keys are all bloody and stuff, and I was like figuring that out with the community. And now that I figured it out, I was like, oh, I can't just like stop now. Like I unlocked the thing. Like I need to keep playing. So yes,
Yeah.
definitely stay tuned for more Silent Hill. It's been super, super fun. And then what else did I do? God. Oh, I went back to Tomb Raider 3 because it's been a while since I've played it, and that game is suffering. And a lot of the times you're looking up a guide and you're like, oh, of course there's like a hidden wall, or like, oh, of course that one texture that looks like every other texture is something that you can crawl through, or you can do something. It's just like, okay, great, love that for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also got a new phone, so I've been kind of getting into like mobile gaming into it. I got the Samsung Galaxy A51. It's like a middle range for the Samsung line that they have. I got it on sale, of course. You know, I love a bargain. So yeah, but I'm excited to like download games that, you know, my phone actually has storage for, and get into some games in there, get into some TikToks, do all of the fun things. So I'm just excited. I'm just excited for all of that. But yeah, what about y'all? What have y'all been playing? What have y'all been doing? Who wants to go first? Hello.
Yeah. What have I been playing? So I've been playing. I've been super excited because I love Resident Evil, and Resident Evil is coming to like Dead by Daylight, so I've been playing to gain up points so that whenever the new character comes out, I can get Jill Valentine and survive as her. And I got my little pride flag charm to wear on my character because everyone needs to know how gay I am as I run around and try to survive. So I've been doing a lot of that. I've also been playing Resident Evil, lots and lots of that. Wonderful, beautiful, amazing game that I wish, wish I had a better console to play it on, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We'll replay it once we get the better console. And then I think that's pretty much it. I've been doing a lot of school stuff, so summer session is coming around, so I'm getting ready for new students, so it's gonna be fun.
Iconic. What did you think about the Dead by Daylight collaboration reveal?
I thought it was good. I thought it was really good because I feel like they did a lot more than I think I expected them to do. I expected, they'll give a killer, they'll give a survivor. I probably would have liked more. So they gave 2 survivors. They gave Leon, the icon that everyone loves. They gave Jill Valentine, another icon that everyone loves. And then they gave Nemesis, a killer that people are huge fans of. So they gave big characters that I figured they would, but then also was like, Capcom might want to try and hold on to those characters just because it's, you don't want it to go into something and be bad, right? So
yeah,
I was worried that you might not get something like that. So you kind of got that, and then you got interesting that they put in a new map. That's the police station from the RE2 remake. So it's huge. It's got all of the rooms that you go throughout the game. So it's actually pretty interesting, and just that they have that whole little thing. So I'm excited for that. So whenever that comes out in June or whatever, I'll get excited, really excited again, play the game a lot, and then probably stop after like a month and a half. But
yeah,
I'll be Jill running around from the Nemesis.
Right. I was kind of I wasn't the biggest like It was kind of expected for me. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like, they got a super popular person to be, or creature to be the killer, and they got two iconic characters. To me, it was just like, and we were talking a little bit about this before we got started. Like, for me, I almost like wanted more. Selfishly, I was like, "Where's Claire? Where's Ada? Where's Chris?"
No, you're not wrong.
Like, all, you know what I mean? Like, because I think for killers, like, I think it was between Mr. X and Nemesis, and I think they couldn't have gone wrong either way. But I think for the survivors, there's just so many iconic characters to choose from that you're like,
yeah,
there's always going to be someone who's going to be like, okay, come on, we could have gotten that. But GM actually talked about it, like, about how the legendary skins and how that could be an option maybe in the future. That could be really cool if they just did that.
Yeah, because they did that with Silent Hill, and they gave the Heather Mason, who was the survivor for the Silent Hill chapter of the game, they gave her like two skins, one which was like the police officer, Sybil, and then the nurse from like the game. So, and those are two other super popular characters that people liked. And so they just made them legendary skins, and it changes the face of the character. So it's not just the character with a wig, with a different wig, and they still have the same face. So they actually change the character. So that's something they might do. The thing that sucks about that is those things usually cost money, so it's like extra money. But also, what do you do when you're working with, you know, Capcom, with one of the biggest horror game franchises? Like, they probably, I'm sure they were like, well, can we get more characters? And they're like, well, you can do them as this, right? Which would be the same thing as if you had to pay for them as a downloadable character to play separately. So really, can, you know, it's interesting to see. But yeah, I'm excited about this game that I like have this love-hate relationship with. Like, I love playing it, but then I'm also like, I play it and then I don't play it for a while because I'm like, okay, I'm not having as much fun anymore. And then when I go back, I'm like, okay, no, this is fun. I enjoy this. And then I stop again.
That's a Dead by Daylight mood for sure. Yeah. I've been there many, many times where I was like, oh, I'm kind of back into it again. And then after like playing it a couple times, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
It's like, I got my fill.
Yeah, it would be really nice to get all of that stuff. So hopefully,
oh yeah, for sure. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping that they do the legendary skins. If they do, it'll be great.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, sorry. How about you, Koga?
No,
we got sidetracked with all the Dead by Daylight stuff.
Oh, you're fine. So about in the last weekend, I think it was like Sunday. I did finish Yakuza 4. My opinion on certain things did change. Like, I remember starting this. It was the games where you have to play as like multiple characters, and I'm still not the biggest fan of that. Like, it's not. I mean, different playstyles is fine, but in terms of story, it's like, all right, we start here, it builds up here, then you got to like reintroduce this other character, then reintroduce this other character, and then you finally get to Kiryu as the last playable character. And I swear his chapters are like the shortest out of all of them. Imagine that. Like, a part of me kind of wonders, like, did he really need to be here? He might not have been. The character you played as a cop, his name was Tiny Moore, I believe. And a lot of people didn't like that part. I did, because that's when stuff started happening. People started getting shot, people started getting betrayed and then shot. And it was like, okay, we're just getting to the stuff that I like, so you just can't trust anybody. So for me, it's kind of like where the storyline just really started to pick up. And then I managed to finish that one. And then, of course, the last fight, you have to play as all four of them, and you have to fight against four other, characters, which I was unexpected. One of them I didn't expect that you would fight at the end, because he's a I guess I'm not spoiling in case someone may not have played it, but he's like a character that's been around in the series, and he's not really like bad. It's just a circumstance kind of thing, and it's kind of like, yeah, you're just kind of butting heads, and this is where it's at. So I also did start Yakuza 5. There's so many of these games.
I know.
And with this one, you still have to play as multiple characters. Oh. You start off with Kiryu at least, so it's not like... I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just that I don't mind multiple characters, multiple playstyles. But I'm just not fond of, okay, we got to introduce this character. And it feels like storyline-wise, it goes back a little bit when you want things to continue to ramp up, at least for me. I know there is a new character that you play as, and you play as him last. I'm not sure how popular he was, but I know he hasn't came back since, so that might explain quite a bit. So I'm going to continue to go through that one. I do like on this one that there's more like voice acting, because three and four, three came out like 2009, four came out 2010, and then 5 came out 2012 on a new engine. So I'm glad that there's more like voice acting with even the main story, because you had to like just read like a majority of it, and that's one reason why I didn't stream those older ones. So I'm like, I don't want to read all that text. It's a lot. It's a lot. Again, it is a lot. So hopefully, I mean, for now, it doesn't sound like it's going to be as much. So I still want to go through that. And then 6, which I'll probably take a good portion of my time with. And then at some point start Like a Dragon, the 7th game. And then I'll finally be caught up after all this time.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just that. So this past week I did stream Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and I played it on a controller pad.
Ooh.
Oh my god. I'm not playing Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on a controller pad unless I'm just really trying to do something. It's more difficult because you have to like you have to like go through the camera, and it's best when you're able to use to click them, because when you have the camera up, it uses, you know, some of your battery power and whatnot. And you can't really afford to waste that. So imagine having to press a button on a controller and have to manually go from spot to spot to spot to spot. Now, after a certain point, you kind of get like how Bonnie and Chica work. They're not really that difficult. Like I didn't get jump scared by them like at all. But Foxy, on the other hand, you kind of have to keep an eye on him because he's in Pirates Cove, and as time goes on, he eventually starts coming out of there, and he'll come running down the hall.
I hate that.
Not this. I am scared already. Not for me.
So you have to keep an eye on him. But then, like, starting on night 3, that's when Freddy starts coming out, and he goes, like, in one direction. But you have to, like, keep a camera on him a good portion of the time because he... so, like, Bonnie and Chica, they will eventually just keep moving around. They'll go to, like, the back rooms, but then they'll at least go somewhere else. Not Freddy. He just takes a shot and keeps going. Now, the thing is, when he moves, you'll hear him laugh. So when you hear that, that means he moved even closer. So it's best to keep the camera on him. But remember, you got to keep the camera on Foxy as well. So again, going from camera to like that, and it just wastes power. Like I beat it, but I beat it because it was like the lights went off. I was about to die. Freddy took his sweet time, and 6 o'clock showed up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing night 6. It's just that it's very difficult to keep track of them. Because if Freddy gets to like that back closet, you have to close the door. You have to close the right door. And that also drains power. So it's like you have to keep him from getting to that point. And to do that, you have to keep the camera on him. But you have to watch out for other things. So it's like, it's chaotic playing it with a controller. And
Absolutely
Five Nights at Freddy's 2, from like back when I remember playing it, which I haven't played it since like 2015 or so, is like multitasking the game.
Ooh.
I mean, I might try it on a controller to see how it is. I have no intention of beating it. If I do, that's great. But that's just way too much. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, it's just, the game also didn't tell you what buttons did what. So I had to figure that out, get used to it. So imagine trying to close the door because you see Bonnie on the left side, but you pull up the camera. So you start panicking, and so you just wasting power trying to do that. I mean, it's a journey. It's nice that it's an option because they released them on console. So the Windows 10 version lets you use controller or mouse. I definitely will play the Windows 10 version because they're like upscaled to higher resolution. But controller, I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds panic-inducing, and I'm happy for you, but I could never. Yeah, same. Just from you describing it, I was like,
I was like, oh no, heart attack. You're asking like gay panic. Gay panic.
Literally.
Yeah, like it normally doesn't scare me. It's just that it's like, okay, you expect, okay, I know how to do this, close the door. But now I pressed the wrong thing. So now I'm just pressing buttons after a certain point.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Wow. But it's definitely not the most optimal way to play it. It's not.
There you have it. If anyone was wondering what that experience was like, don't do it.
No. I mean,
The answer is don't participate.
The answer is opt out.
So the last thing that I've been playing is the AEW Elite. What's it called? Elite Management, Elite something manager. So pretty much what this is an upcoming game. So I did get I'm into a closed beta to play it, and it's pretty much Elite General Manager, AEW Elite General Manager. It's
Close
pretty
enough.
much where close enough.
You got
They
there.
know. Yeah. So what you do in this game is that you pretty much you're just pretty much like a general manager for the show AEW Dynamite. So you have to balance money, the roster, and you set 3 matches per week, and you have to just pretty much balance all that. It does have online, so you can play against other people and see who can win. I haven't done that yet because I still have to go through the main objectives and whatnot. It's pretty interesting for a mobile game if you're into wrestling and AEW and just you choosing the matches and the characters and seeing a bit of animations, not a whole lot. It'll last for 5 seconds per match, 5-10 seconds per match, and that's about it. But it's pretty decent. I don't know exactly when it's coming out, but I do like watching AEW, so it was like a closed beta. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? It's on mobile, so luckily I don't have to spend no money in game yet. I don't know if it's gonna be at some point. It's a mobile game. There's no way. Yeah,
they know how to get you
at some point. But yeah, that's been all I've been playing outside of Dokkan because of course,
Dokkan.
I mean, you can't.
But this has been officially been dubbed my Dokkan device.
Love that.
Iconic. We love to see it.
Love to see it.
Yeah. Where can people find all of our streaming and social medias and all of the things of the things? Jam.
You can find me on all social media at jam_5899. You can see me over on the Twitter. You can find me on the Instagram. I was gonna say Snapchat. I don't use Snapchat.
Same.
TikTok over there on TikTok, and I might start making some TikToks again. I made some a while ago, and now I'm getting back into it. Might make some more, and then here on Twitch when I finally get my life together, and make a schedule and actually get back on my streaming thing, playing Cuphead, and I'm looking to get a computer so I can play more games.
Yes.
That's my biggest thing right now is working that whole situation out. So we'll be there soon. We're working on it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, join the PC Master Race.
Koga's like, one of us.
One of us. Higher
I just need
frame
I just need a capture card. I'm gonna be connecting my controller to it anyway because I'm terrible with a keyboard and mouse. So no matter what I do, I'm gonna be playing with a controller.
That's what I do.
Valid.
Controller.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then if that's what we're doing, then all right. You know what? Maybe we'll be there soon.
Yeah.
Because I do have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so I can play all those games on PC.
We'd love to see it.
All right. What about you, Koga?
You can find me on here and on almost said Facebook, but Twitter.
Yep.
At Koga_Jangles. I will be here tomorrow. Doing Sega Saturn Sunday. I will actually be doing that this time. I didn't do it last time because I was using RetroArch, and I don't know what happened with the controller setups, but it messed up everything. So imagine this button, the X button on the Sega Saturn controller being start. B and C just not doing anything. And I'm like, did the controller break? No, it did not. So I put this one in. Same problem.
Oh no.
Okay.
We hate to see
so
it.
I plugged this in. Guess what the start button was? Pressing the right analog in. I have no idea what happened.
Not that.
That's so strange.
It was such a catastrophe, and I'm like, oh my god, nothing is working. I'm throwing a fit on my day off.
Oh no.
I hate it when things don't work as I intended.
Yeah,
but I did fix it. For the most part. For some reason, I still have to go. If I start up a game for Sega Saturn, I have to go in and manually set the start button to the start button because it's set to some other button. But everything else works fine.
Mhm.
But that's why I didn't start it last Sunday. I literally spent a good portion of the morning trying to fix it. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to go outside and walk. Away from
Yeah.
people, mind you.
Valid. Yeah,
Still in a
sometimes
pandemic, y'all.
just friendly reminder, yeah. Whether or not you're vaccinated, be careful, be safe. Um, you can find me at Project Ruby on most social medias, the Project Ruby on TikTok and Instagram, even though I'm not super active on Instagram. But I do upload reels on there. I just basically re-upload my TikToks on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. So, just recycling content. We love to
Okay.
see it. Listen, work
She's a
smarter, not
content
harder.
creator, Your Honor. She's a content creator, Your Honor.
Listen, if I'm gonna spend time, whether it's 5 minutes, 5 hours, I never take 5 hours on a TikTok, let's be real. But if I take somewhere between those to make a video, you bet your ass it's gonna be everywhere I can upload it to. Listen here.
That's that. And that's that.
Listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, you can find me on all of those lovely social medias. Super excited. Pride is coming up, aka June, for anyone who's
Yes.
unaware. So a lot of exciting things around the corner. I'm putting together a series of Pride panels every week for Pride. So we're gonna talk about sexuality, gender identity, asexuality, and of course queer media, which is going to be our final week of the panel series, where I'm going to have people from all kinds of industries in related to media and have their perspectives on working in there and pushing for diversity and representation and all that fun stuff that needs to be talked about. So yeah, and charity stuff, of course. She's coming. Super excited for a very particular project that I'm a part of, that is gonna be taking place during Pride. So just stay tuned, y'all. Stay tuned. Also for Just Gaming Tingz, especially as E3 is like around the corner. We have our own things going on that we're gonna be reacting. We're gonna have again more folks coming on and special guests. All the things of the things, y'all. Super excited. Again, follow us everywhere at Just Gaming Tingz. Just Gaming Tingz Podcast on all of the good podcast services. Follow us on those. Don't miss an episode. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. All of the things. I'm tired. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.